Hello everyone, this is the Undying Nephilim, and today I'm going to show you something I've been working on the last few weeks. A few weeks ago I had brought up the possibility of porting Hyrule Total War to a new engine, and after experimenting with the Pyrogenesis engine for a few weeks, I think I'm probably going to go through with it because I am just really happy with all of the new things I can do. But so as I'm gonna show a little bit of gameplay just so you guys can get a feel for what might be going on, and show you some of the new things that are possible in 0 AD that were not possible in Medieval 2. As far as the style of gameplay, I think the best game to keep in mind, and the game I'm aiming for the most, is probably Age of Mythology. You'll probably see a lot of similarities to Age of Mythology as far as the gameplay goes and how the units work and all that sort of thing. There's going to be like Titan units for each faction, so it's going to be really cool. But anyway, new main menu. It's probably just a placeholder for now, but kind of liked the system that 0 AD had set up for their menu, where it's like a bunch of layered images and stuff. But anyway, I believe I'm going to cut into the gameplay, so if there's a bit of an awkward jump cut here, pardon me. Alrighty. Anyone familiar with Age of Mythology or Age of Empires might be able to tell what's going on here. Kind of like in those real-time strategy games, you'll start with a town center, although not every faction will. You'll start with, a few workers, a scout, and a few basic soldiers. And usually nearby you'll have, the different resources you'll use. In this case, food, wood, stone, and each faction will have their own resources that they can collect, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So, like, if you notice for the animals, I've added, the Ordanian goats as a food source here, and the cuckoos and everything, so there's going to be all different kinds of wild animals, which is one of the features I'm very excited for. Of course, I've only been working on this for about 3 weeks. I only have 2 of them in right now, but anyway, let me get my scout to go exploring the map, and let's start building things. I'll start with a few houses, and then a barracks, and lastly we'll end with a pair of farms. And I'll put that farm back there. And I'll train some more workers. And get my few soldiers here together. I'm also using the stock 0 AD sound effects right now, so all the sounds in this will probably change whenever I have the chance to get around to them. But like in Age of Empires and Age of Mythology, all of the base building is real-time. It's not turn-based like in Medieval 2, so you'll actually see the workers build all of the buildings in real-time. And also, the scaffoldings and everything I'm using right now, that's all, again, stock 0 AD. Each faction's gonna have their own scaffoldings and methods of building their buildings. Like the Goma, they're completely organic, so they'll probably have like these pulsating cocoons and spider webs all over their buildings as they're growing, which will be really cool when I finally get around to them. So I'll let them finish up building, and these ones here, I want to build a little storehouse. As I said a bit ago, each of the factions, they'll all share a few basic resources like food and wood and stone. Ugh. But there'll be a ton of unique resources for different factions. Like the Stalfos will have corpses that they can harvest. The Tweely will have like soul generators to power their buildings. So. And then the Gorons, they won't need any food since they're these rock creatures. They'll actually harvest different types of stones that they use to feed their people. And not only will there be different resources, but each faction will have their own method of harvesting resources. Like the Hylians here, for food, they can hunt animals, they can gather from these bushes here, and they have farms. And most factions will be able to build some type of farms, but their farms will all function a little bit differently. Like the Hylians here, since they're a very urbanized culture with really cramped cities, they don't really have much room for farming, so they have what I call urban farms, and they're these little tiny farms with a drop-off point built into them, so the Hylians, their workers, won't have any travel time. They don't have to get the food and then come back to the town center to drop it off. They'll just be able to harvest from the little farms and drop it off at the house here, so that saves them a lot of walking time, but they can only have 2 farmers working on a farm at a time, whereas other factions can have, you know, 5 or more workers. So that's a neat little unique thing that differentiates the Hylian farms, and I'm really going to push for that with all the factions. They're all going to be pretty asymmetrical in terms of how they gather resources, how their armies work, and how they build their things. So hopefully that'll really shine when I couldn't really do that in Medieval 2. Anyway, let's upgrade the town center to something bigger so I can build more buildings. And then I'll be able to train some more workers too. Now let's train some soldiers here. I think I'll make a few castle guards and some crossbowmen. And let's see, my scout is back. I want all these guys together. Let's see what I've uncovered. Just a bit of swampiness. I have the enemy AI disabled on this map because the only faction I have in right now is the Kingdom of Hyrule, and next will be the Gerudo, but I haven't got them in yet, so we're not really going to see any fighting in this little demonstration. I'll save that for the next video. But this should be upgraded now, so start building some... I want to build a marketplace, which is right there. And a little bar. I'll build some stables back here, a little Triforce statue right there, and a blacksmith to upgrade all of my workers. I'm going to build some houses so my population count doesn't, my pop cap doesn't fill up. And each faction will have different methods of increasing their population. The Hylians just build houses like in Age of Empires and Age of Mythology. I think it's safe to say the Kingdom of Hyrule, the Hylians, they play the most traditionally. So anyone who's played Age of Empires will be instantly familiar with them, or even 0 AD. They're pretty streamlined and pretty traditional as far as, you know, their methods of gathering resources and how they build bases and stuff. But anyway, these soldiers are almost done. The marketplace is almost done. Another really cool thing about this engine, which you're probably going to hear me say a lot, other than being attacked by wild animals. Little boar. Anyway, as I was saying, I haven't included them yet because I've only been working on this for a few weeks, but there'll be a lot of different ambient animations for buildings. So like this marketplace here, when I have the time to, you know, finish it, there'll be like little civilians walking around. It'll look like they're buying things from the shop. There's going to be, you know, crowd noises and everything. It's just going to be so cool. There's a lot of ambient animations and things of that nature that are possible in this engine that were just not possible in Medieval 2. So, looks like my castle guards are done up here. And my crossbowmen are almost done. So I want to get these guys to join my army down here. Get in formation. Alrighty. When this is done, I'll be able to upgrade the town center again. Kind of like in Age of Empires, each faction will kind of have like a tiered sort of upgrade thing going on. Like in Age of Empires, it was different ages. For each faction in this game, it's going to be different. For the Hylians, they just upgrade the size of their, you know, their town center. It goes from a village to a town to a city, and that's basically their tiered upgrade system sort of thing. Let's see, what else can I show while I'm waiting for them to finish buildings? I actually think I'm going to turn on instant build speed so I can just show everything pretty quickly and not waste anyone's time. So let's train some cavalry. And what else do I want to train? Some guys with capes, because I want to show another really cool feature. So another thing about Medieval 2 versus 0 AD is in Medieval 2, you couldn't really get a skeleton into the engine that had more than, I think it was 6 appendages. So the most you could hope for was like a quadruped, like a horse or elephant. You couldn't have skeletons that had, like, for example, the Goma have a bunch of legs because they're spiders. So in Medieval 2, I kind of had to warp the skeletons to make it so I can animate them, but in 0 AD, I can have as many joints and appendages as I want. So as you can see here, the little capes on the Hylian soldiers, they're completely animated. They flow independently of the unit. I mean, they're related to what the unit's doing, so they're not, you know, they don't have wills of their own, but, you know, just tons of little animation detail like that will be possible in this engine that wasn't possible before. You got cavalry here, and I believe we're in, yep, I can train a hero now. Another feature that I really wanted in Medieval 2 but could never pull off properly was you could select certain heroes, kind of like in Age of Mythology, you could select certain deities, and they would give you their own unique units and technologies and bonuses and stuff. So here's one of the Hylian heroes, Princess Zelda, and she'll give you access to archers that can shoot light arrows and a bunch of other technologies like glass rupees and things of that nature. So there'll be hero units in this game with their own auras and abilities, which will be pretty awesome. You can see Princess Zelda here has a pretty big aura around her. So let's build a castle now. Since I have instant build on, it shouldn't take too long to build the castle. I'm going to build it right around there. And I'll show you her unique unit as well as some of the cool features of castles. That's pretty funny with instant build on, it just shoots out of the ground. Anyway. So Princess Zelda will have access to the light arrow archers, which are a unit that's been long hinted at for Medieval 2, but I hit the hard-coded limit for units, so I couldn't really get too many more in. But there's no hard-coded limit for units or factions now, so I can have as many units as I want, as many factions as I want. Pretty much unlimited power as far as that goes. So these units will be able to shoot magical light arrows at enemies that pretty much light them on fire and things of that nature. But anyway, let me show you what the castle can do. You can garrison units, not only in buildings, but on buildings in 0 AD, which is pretty awesome. So I garrisoned those archers in the castle, and if you notice, they stand on the ramparts, and they'll actually like shoot their attacks off of the post where they're garrisoned, which is pretty freaking awesome. And you can do the same thing for walls too, so I'm going to build a wall here just to demonstrate that. Whoops. I don't think I built it wide enough, so let me actually redo that. Let me build a wider wall. There we go. So as you'll see in just a second, I can garrison archers up on the wall, and they'll shoot off the walls, and they become resistant to most form of damage while they're on the wall. So that's pretty freaking awesome. And you can build gates, and the gates are fully animated. Another really small quirk of Medieval 2 is I had to use the stock gate animations, and they always bothered me because I could only use certain types of gates, but now can have custom gate animation, so each faction will have unique gates. Like I can already imagine the Goma, they'll have like this organic sort of tentacle thing that'll open up and it'll allow their spiders to pour out, which will be really cool. So This game visually is going to have a lot of really cool animations and stuff. And that makes me really happy. So, what else do I want to show? Oh, looks like a bear is attacking my guys. I'll leave the bear alone. He's not doing anything. He's just standing there. I guess one last thing I'll show is wonders. Kind of like in... Let me get rid of this castle so there's enough room for it. Kind of like in Age of Empires and Age of Mythology, there'll be wonders that each faction can build. So if you have a wonder victory set on, you'll be able to build this really cool, unique building. The Hylians can build the Temple of Time, one of my favorite things. And it should build pretty much instantly since I have the fast build sheet on. So there's the Temple of Time. If this was a wonder victory, it would start the countdown. I actually think the sound effect that I'm going to use when you click on the Temple of Time is like the really old, the meaty Song of Time from Ocarina of Time. It's going to play the first few notes of it, so that'll be pretty cute. But, yeah, there's a little first look at Hyrule Total War ending up in 0 AD. The game is going to change names. It's going to be called Hyrule Conquest. The story of the game isn't going to change at all. I'm pretty much porting all of the cinematics and everything and translating the missions without too many changes right over to 0 AD. So none of that is going to change. The only really things that are going to change is all the base building is going to be real-time instead of turn-based because there's no turn-based mode in the engine right now. The army sizes will be a little bit smaller, although I'd like to have battalions and formations, kind of like in Medieval 2, so I'm going to try and work on that. And almost all the changes, at least I personally think, are going to be positive. There's going to be tons of factions back in the game that I had to cut out. I had to cut out the Ancient Hylians, I had to reduce the Oka to an NPC because I ran out of room for units, but I'm going to be able to add in all of this content I had to cut because there's no more stupid hard-coded limits. So there's going to just be so much new stuff in the game. There's going to be tons of ambient animations that I wasn't able to do, and I'm really thrilled. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this looks interesting? Do you think it's going to be a fun change, or do you think it's terrible, or do you not have any opinion at all? Let me, know in the comments what you guys think, and hopefully sometime in the next few weeks I'll have more to show. As far as the plan, I think I'm going to make a small demo for this with the Hylians and the Gerudo and release that just to see how people respond to it and see if they enjoy it. And then I think I'm going to attempt to make one last version for Total War just as a send-off to the Total War version of the game. Although I'm kind of dreading going back to that engine because just the Medieval 2 engine compared to 0 AD is just terrible. It fights me every step of the way, and 0 AD is seriously one of the easiest and the best engines I've ever used, so I'm really excited about that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully you'll like some of the stuff that's going to come out of this. Anyway, have a good one.